I'm just going to do the corporate yada yada for a short while, you know, where you are right now, then we get down to what's interesting. But just to make sure so you know where you are. You're at a company called SYSAV. SYSAV means South Scania Waste Company. South Scania, the most southern part of Scania, most southern part of Scandinavia. SYSAV. This is our region. This is where we operate. And these 40 municipalities are the owners of this company. So we are owned completely by the municipalities in this region. Right. So we are not here to make a profit per se, because we have to make a little bit of money to be able to sustain businesses, right? But we are mainly here to find a sustainable waste management system for the households in this region. This is our mission. And we have recycling centers, you know, where you can come with your bulky waste or your hazardous waste, waste that doesn't fit in the bin at home or doesn't belong in the bin at home. You can come to a recycling center to hand in an old TV or garden waste or whatever. Any of you ever been to a recycling center? Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Okay, so you know where you are, most of you. SYSAV used to be a company that took care of waste. Like, we took care of a problem. This was our image. From the start, 1974, when we were founded, up till just recently, we were a company like, okay, they're dealing with a problem. Let them deal with that problem. We don't ask any questions. And that's what we did. We took care of waste, right? And most of the time, we just buried it in the ground, where nobody could see it. That's what we did in the 70s. But today, we are more focusing, trying to focus at least, what give back to the society. So what do we give back to the society? Well, we give back soil. If you want to buy some soil, to plantation soil, we sold 164,000 bags of plantation soil at our recycling centers last year. So people can buy soil, plant something, then it grows, then they cut it down, they give it back to us as garden waste. We put it in a compost that you're going to see from the bus, and we make new soil that you buy to plant something in, that you have to cut down, give to us, that we turn into soil that you get the picture. An eco-cycle, and that's what we like. We like eco-cycle. That's what we do. We also give back materials that can be reused or recycled, of course. We also, this bus illustrates biogas that we produce from your food waste. How many of you can separate food waste at source where you live in a brown paper bag? Most of you. So all these brown paper bags end up here at SYSAV. All of them. And we treat it into what we call a slurry. And slurry is a really good name because it sounds, you can picture slurry. So that's what we do with your food waste. After we crush it, we mix it with liquid, and we get a slurry. And this slurry is then sold. Who wants to buy slurry? Well, a lot of people want to buy slurry. If you have a biogas plant, you love slurry because you put slurry into an anaerobic digestion system when there's no oxygen. And when there's no oxygen, the methane bacteria thrives. And the methane bacteria produces methane by farting, you can say. So, using that methane fart, adding some propane, we get biogas that you can that you can use for buses and cars for transportation, instead of petrol or diesel, right? And 90% of the environmental effects you reduce using biogas instead. So we can do that with your food waste, and we also get a biofertilizer. So you get the nutrition, mainly nitrogen, back to farmland. And we also produce a lot of heat like that. So that's hot, right? Yeah, you can't touch. We're allowed to touch it. So where does that heat come from?
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, but not the food waste because that we use that for biogas production. But the rest that in your home, after you sorted out the food waste, after you sorted out the packages, after you went to the recycling center with your hazardous waste or whatever you got, the residual waste, then you can dispose of that. You put it mostly in the green bin, right? That ends up here into our furnaces where we incinerate it. And we get a really, really hot boiler. We put in water. That water turns to steam. That steam runs a turbine and the generator. We produce electricity. And then the steam heats up water going underground, the whole city of Malmö, heating up water for radiators, hot showers, hot baths, and all that. Right? You know, the people in Malmö, they are really, really picky. They want hot showers in the morning. So fancy people, you know. Living here. So if you want a hot shower, you need to heat that water up, right? And that we use district heat in Malmö. 90% of the people in Malmö, they have district heat as heating source. Underground system of hot water heating up other hot waters for people living in Malmö. That hot water gets heated here mainly. We produce 60% of the total demand of heat.
What about in
Lund, the LRV in Lund, and together with Lund's Lunds Energy, they produce from biomass mainly. I think it is. I'm not totally sure, but I think it's biomass. Fleece. Is that accurate for Lund? Do you know?
Some geothermal.
Some geothermal as well? Okay, yeah. Here in Malmö, we produce 60% of the heat, and the other 40% is produced by fossil fuel, natural gas as they call it. I don't like the name natural gas. We don't say natural oil or natural coal on fossil coal and fossil oil, right? So why do we call it natural gas? We should call it fossil gas, because that's what it is. All of these technical aspects of what we do, we're going to talk more about it on the bus tour, but most of it you can find at our website in brochures. We have films on YouTube. We've got all the technical specs there if you're really into the technical part, because we're not going to address it that much. That's a whole other lecture. All right? But you can find it. So we produce heat and electricity from waste. But we only want to incinerate what's left. And in Swedish you call it restavfall, what's there after you sorted all the other waste. Because we don't want to incinerate anything that could be recycled as materials instead. So that's what we do, right? Oh, it's in Swedish, sorry. I don't know why it's in Swedish. Whatever, it says facts about SYSAV. We were founded in 1974. So, when the company was founded, we set this overall goal for our existence, to maximize recycling, to minimize landfill. Okay? This was a perfect goal in 1974 because we didn't recycle anything. Well, 10%. Hardly anything. So there was a lot of room for improvement. You know? That's what you can say when you suck at something. There's room for improvement. That's a positive way to look at it. And exactly that's how it was in 1974. There was a lot of room for improvement. Because we buried everything into the ground. Like we dug a hole and put it there, covered it up and said it doesn't exist anymore. Well, it did because it leaked, of course. Methane to air and pollutants to groundwater. So, excellent goal 1974. Let's start recycling. And how are we doing then? If you look up on this goal, these are percentages of all the waste we take care of, which is 855,000 tons. And this is how much we put to landfill, buried, and this is how much we recycled in any form. And looks great, right? So, when I started working here, the management, the CEO, his name back then was Mr. Rylander, he told me, show this to everybody. So now I do. I still do. I've been doing that since 2007. Because they pay me. But I don't like it. I don't like this picture. Because it's really boring now going to work if this is the goal for my existence here, to minimize that one. Because now we actually put the landfill, but it belongs to that landfill. But I don't like it because it says recycling. How do we recycle? That matters, because we don't specify how we recycle. More than 50%, 52% of that is energy recycled. What does that mean? Well, we incinerate. Oh, is that recycling? Well, yes, because you can't destroy energy and you can't create energy. You can only recycle energy. So, of course, it's a way of recycling. But is it the same thing as recycling of materials? No. Is it the same as biologically treat something into biogas and biofertilizer? No. Should we declare what's what? Yes. Because otherwise, if you have a bin at home where there's 4 or 8 compartments and all says recycling, why would you sort? So you should always say what's what. So even though we are super energy efficient here, we can use all the energy in the waste and put it to use. So we are so energy efficient, So we are actually allowed to call it recycling by EU. They told us, oh, you're so energy efficient, you can call it recycling if you like. I think we should not. We should call it energy recovery. But mainly I don't like this image because it says nothing about the amount of waste, how much waste is generated, and this is really interesting, and that's what we're going to talk more about. This model, though, is a little bit better. This model is what we use today, and it's called the waste hierarchy. It's actually called the European Waste Hierarchy Directive, though. You can't say that. European Waste Hierarchy Directive. At least you can't say it to Saturday night. But this is a way to describe how we should think when we look upon waste management today, or how we should treat waste. And I can use a simple piece of paper as an example. This is a piece of paper, super important, but it's starting to break up now, because I used it a couple of times. So I got to throw it and print a new one, because it's a paper I need now for instruction using the projector. So, now I'm going to throw it away. It's waste suddenly, important paper, waste. And I'll hand it over to a really, really nice waste company. You can think of any waste company you like. And, well, what I'm going to do with this now, treating it as waste, well, I can do what we've normally done. That's tradition, bury it in the ground, like, it's just paper. Nothing bad can happen, it's organic. It's even like environmentally labeled, so there's no hazardous components in this at all, right? So, what about putting it in the ground? What could happen? What could go wrong? Is there a problem with that for the environment or the climate, from an environmental or climate perspective?
No.
No? Yes?
There's other people think like you did, and we
Yeah,
get
exactly.
on papers instead of ground. So
Yeah, but it will deteriorate into soil soon. It's just paper, it's wood. You have trees falling in the forest all the time.
It's not the most efficient way to handle it.
Oh, we're onto something. Yes, it's not the most efficient way to treat it, because if I bury it in the ground, I have to go out and find new virgin material for the next paper I'm going to print. And that's costly.
So,
That's also costly for the environment and the climate, because you need a lot of energy. Right, transport and all that, right? So yes, there is an environmental and climate problem, but there's one direct as well.
no, just wondering, so are you saying that paper is not bad for the environment if we throw it away?
No.
Okay.
Or am I? Because you can't recycle it then.
No,
For
no,
sure.
but I'm just wondering.
But
like,
is there another problem by burying it in the ground in a landfill?
Might be hazardous to other existing creatures such as
No,
animals.
not really. Not really.
No?
Paper.
But do you remember when I mentioned how we produce biogas? Do you remember what bacteria that thrives in an anaerobic system? Methane bacteria. And if you have a landfill, you cover it up, there's not that much oxygen down there. And then it comes to the bacteria that will deteriorate this paper for me. They will decompose it, right? And that bacteria farms methane. And methane, ladies and gentlemen, is 24 times more aggressive as a greenhouse gas compared to CO2, right? Methane is a bigger problem than CO2. Have you heard about that? Have you heard about cows burping and farting and whatever, right? You know that is a problem. That has a climate effect. That's worse than CO2. Therefore, it's better to let out CO2. Right? CO2, you get CO2 when you add oxygen. And to incinerate this, you need oxygen. So I put it into our incineration plant instead. And I incinerate it, and I get CO2, which is not as bad as methane. And I can use the energy to heat up Malmö. And then they don't have to use fossil fuel to heat up Malmö. So I save emissions that saves the climate. And suddenly, it's a great, great thing incinerating paper. That's good for the climate, to let out CO2. Is that true? Can it be good for the climate to incinerate paper? Yes, compared to putting it to a landfill and incinerating fossil fuel instead. But it's even better to recycle the paper, because of the energy needed to use virgin materials. So, yes, it's better to incinerate it, but it's even better to recycle it. So please sort out the paper so it can be recycled. But, of course, it's even better if I design this product in a way that I didn't have to print a new one every second week. I laminated. And I've been keeping this one for 6 years. So by design, I have designed for reuse. And this is part of the sustainable future, where we actually redesign stuff so it will last. The quality. We have to start talking about quality for reuse purposes. Designed to reuse. Or maybe I didn't have to make this either, because this is plastic. I don't like it. Maybe I just learned the damn instruction. Just study it. Please use your brain. That means prevention or reduce. Why is there more and more waste in society? Do you get it? Do you get the model? If you can treat waste in any step, please use the step up in top. There are waste that is supposed to go to disposal, because there are some materials today that are so toxic or cancerogenic, so we don't want to reuse it, recycle them. We have like asbestos. We don't want to use asbestos anymore. We want to take it out of the ecocycle. And this asbestos belongs to a modern landfill, where we a secure landfill. There are ways that you can't recycle or reuse, and then energy recovery is a great thing if you use the energy to heat up a city. Do you get the picture?
Yeah.
But of course, let's start up here, please. Why is there more and more waste? And we have to start talking about why is there more and more waste? Because there is. Okay, so we're going to talk about how much waste. Oh, now my presentation is jammed. Of household waste, municipal and household waste, the average in Europe is still 23% here. For household waste in Sweden, that's 0.7 here. There is more and more wasted energy, but I still think we're reaching maybe 30%. And then the rest is recycled materials. And then we have some 1% reuse. And here you can't really measure. Because this way to measuring stuff in tons is obsolete in my mind, and I'm going to talk about that more. We're just going to have to start talking about this as well already. What is an ecological footprint? Can anybody please help me and to give me your definition of what is an ecological footprint? Or I'll do it.
They can do.
Well, what they want today. It's late. Oh, yeah.
It's like what it's, or like the consequences that of like something you do, or like ecological talking maybe.
Yes, you could say that.
It's all the energy that you have used to upkeep your living quarters. And
Yes,
all
you
the
can say that as well. Or biomass needed to be generated because of your behavior. Right. So there are many definitions, but the point I want to make today is that most of the time we don't even think about them at all anyway, so either definition goes. Because all definitions start to, at least from the point where there is an effect of what I do. What I do matters. And this is often what we meet when we talk to people. It doesn't matter what I do. Yes, it does, and we're going to talk about that today as well. So, just to make sure where we are, I'm going to talk about the 500 kilos of waste that we generate per person in Sweden today. Because this is the number, and please remember it because we're going to talk about it. In Sweden today, we generate 500 kilos of waste annually per person. And this is an average number, right? So probably I generate more than you because I also renovating my summer house, I'm older than you, I have kids and whatever, right? But during a lifetime, we would generate more or less the same. So, in average, we generate 500 kilos per person, yes?
Do you mean 500 kilos per person per year?
Yeah. So, this is food waste, old socks, a diaper if you have kids, right? All that. All kinds of waste. That in your private life, not in your professional life. 500 kilos per person. So, if you're a family of 5, it's 2.5 tons annually in your home. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. And we're going to talk about that. But first I'm going to ask you just to give me, think about where you live normally in your home with your families, or if you already started your own.
all the food waste in the stores.
Yeah.
The market would throw away a lot of food. That's another problem.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. 75% though of food waste in Sweden is generated in households. The rest is from shops and the producers. They are producing more milk than they're going to sell to ICA or Konsum. Why? Well, because when the guy who owns the store calls the dairy and says, I want to buy milk, and they say, we're out, he's going to use the competitor next time as well. So they're not going to take that chance, right? So they produce a little bit more than they're actually selling, just to make sure that they're never short of anything. And then the guy owning the store, she or he, they buy more milk than they're going to sell to us. Why? Because I expect there always to be milk. Otherwise, I'm going to go to another store. I want 14 sorts of yogurts to choose from. Oh my God, I would die if there were only 13. So of course, there's always more sold to the store than what we're going to buy. But most of the food waste actually comes from when we buy more than we're going to eat. So 75% of food waste comes from households. This is really interesting because we did a survey in 2014. We called out 1,000 Swedes and we asked the question, can we talk to you about waste? And they 3,000 people recalled, and 1,000 said yes, which is really good. So this survey contains 1,000 people participating. And we said stuff to them. We stated stuff that they could agree to. We said stuff like, do you bicycle to your work every day? And you could agree or disagree. Then we said, there's too much food waste in general in Sweden today. Too much food waste. And 87% agreed. No, 92% agreed. Then we said, in your home, there's too much food waste. 7% agreed. 7. It's very convenient to point fingers. The politicians should do something about it. My neighbor. What a jerk. Right? What about you? No, it doesn't matter what. No, it's not that bad, right? Well, 75% of the food waste comes from households. So let's address the problem. Okay. So, you get the picture. This question I ask kids when I'm out in schools talking to 10-year-olds normally. I ask them, what would happen if you couldn't throw out any waste? And the reason why I ask them is because I want to teach them about the waste hierarchy system. I don't show this to them, I let them talk about it. Because they tell me like, oh, you would shop less. I go, why? Do you shop stuff that you don't really need? And they go, yeah. I go, like what? I pretend to be stupid because I want them to talk. Like what? And one girl, she told me, 10-year-old girl, she told me, like, well, for instance, my daddy bought a flat screen TV, but we had a fat old one that still worked. But if you couldn't throw out the fat old TV, you would have to put the thin one in front of the fat, and then you would get an extra fat TV. And that's exactly the point I'm trying to make here, right? So they tell me of all the stuff they shop that they don't really need, they just want. And then we start to talk about what's what you need and what you want, what's need and what's greed. Because, you know, we have a mall here in Malmö, it's called Emporia. Any of you ever been to Emporia to shop? It's a green mall, they have a green roof. When they opened up a few years back, they had a big opening night. And they put adverts in the paper. And one of the ads said, the full spread in the biggest magazine here in Sweden, newspaper, they said, for you who got everything but want more. And this worked, like, we were like, yeah, that sounds great. I want more. I already got it, but I want more. And this works in a society that's Sweden, where we're quite environmentally aware. We know there is a climate problem. Did you read the news 2 days back? The Arctic is 20 degrees Celsius, not higher temperature than normal. 20 degrees today. I worry. I'm standing over there, mentally, all the time. But I'm a bit stupid too, because I still drive my petrol car. And this is interesting. We're going to talk about that if we go. Why do I do that? How is that possible? So the kids tell me about, we should buy less, you should use what you got, repair, take care, buy quality. Maybe we can recycle it. They try to incinerate stuff. And I tell them, but nothing was allowed to leave the apartment, right? So you're going to die of carbon monoxide pollution right away. Like, instantly, because the smoke is not allowed to leave. The bottom ashes, the flying ashes, the dioxins, everything, like all these problems. So then we get to talk about flue gas cleaning systems, which I love because I work for the company who is the best in the world today to clean flue gas. The smoke. We're cleaning the smoke. So we take out all the dioxins. And then they talk about disposal, putting it in my sister's room. So the kids tell me about this, right?